Danny Black.
And I'm John Newman.
Welcome to Cardmensches.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the nation's premier auction house, specializing in sports memorabilia and trading cards. With significant experience and expertise in all major sport, non-sport, and Americana collectibles, REA has helped clients achieve record-breaking prices for their items and has done so with a reputation for integrity and transparency. By actively partnering with collectors and enthusiasts throughout the entire process, REA has created the hobby's most trusted forum for selling high-quality collectibles. Go to robertedwardauctions.com for more information on how to buy or sell in their next auction. For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions...
You knew I was going to do that. What's up? Welcome to Cardmensches. I've lost track on what episode, but I am Danny. Got us backwards on the screen, and that's John. What's going on, buddy?
I think it's 17. E17. Yep. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. We continue to do the show, screw up the intro, and yet here we are. We're going to talk. We're going to talk some national. I very little national talk on any of the content creations. So we figured somebody's got to do it.
We either had to talk about more about with mascot, or we had to talk about the national. So
yeah, the car wash of with mascot, which I think has a shot to be successful. The concept's pretty cool. I want speaking of national, I kind of want to see that set up and see it hands on to see if it's something I can honestly utilize. And so I'm one of the things I'm looking forward to here. By the way, 5 days, folks. If you're watching us live, we are 5 days away from the start of the national. I know there hasn't been much content creation about it, so that's where we come in to save the day and finally talk about the greatest show on earth.
And if you're hearing this on Monday, then I'm going to be getting in my car tomorrow morning and driving to the national.
Yeah, it's close, and that's what. Yeah, and that's one of our questions. Is to me, it doesn't seem like there's buzz around the national. People love it. I love it. You love it. Most people who are going obviously love it, but there seems to be. I don't even know how to put it in words. A little bit less buzz. I mean, do you feel that? I mean, what do you think? You think I'm right? I just feel like less people are talking about it. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be anyone. This might be a record-setting crowd. I don't know if people are going and just aren't really, rambling on about it, maybe like I or you would.
Can I give you a couple theories?
Sure.
One, I think the whole hobby seems to just be quiet right now, with everything kind of saving. I think all the announcements being saved for the national, a lot of stuff saving for the national. So I think that's part of it. Is the whole hobby just seems to be kind of quiet right now, and I think that's affecting some of the buzz. Secondly, and to be fair, you and I talk off air. In our personal lives, we've had a lot of other stuff going on, and cards we both know we're going to pick up at the national. So I think we took I think we've both taken a little bit of I don't want to say a break, but a little bit of a pause in certainly buying and maybe being quite as active. And so I certainly don't feel like maybe it's quite the buzz when we're usually talking cards amongst us or other people.
Well, listen, I don't want to make this like, and this, and I'm very open on my shows and stuff. About a month ago, I really was concerned that I might not be getting to attend this. I don't want to be dramatic, but, I'm still not 100%. I'm closer today than ever before. But, 4 weeks ago, the way I felt, like I probably wouldn't have wanted to go had I still felt like that today, because you don't want to be a downer to the people you're with and all that stuff. But we're sort of turning the corner there. To answer Chris's question, I'm flying, yes. So it's 2 hours for me. I think it's 12. It's 12 for you. Ziggy asked, so the way mascot works, it's your cards. So what it is, it's like a one-stop shop where you go through them and it can be listed on multiple platforms, eBay, MySlabs, all ComC, I believe.
There's plenty of interviews out there with Ezra explaining everything,
including mine today, Drew's today.
Hobby News Daily today.
If you're a big Ezra Levine fan, you're in like Ezra Levine World Series celebration time, because there's plenty of content out there. I want to see it. I do want to see it. It seems interesting. It's hard to kind of gauge what it is until you actually see how easy or not easy it is. But he makes it sound very easy to use.
Can I ask you a question about the National again?
Yeah.
Can we peel back the curtain a little bit more, and will you tell people how early you pack?
Well, I don't do that all the time, but
guys, I'm putting him on the spot here. He did not know I was going to bring this up.
Yeah, I packed like 2 weeks ago. So all my favorite underwear, I've went 2 weeks without them. All the shirts I want to wear at the show and that sort of thing. If you ask me why, I really don't have a great answer. I don't really have, I just did it. It was one of those days, Danny. I wasn't feeling great kind of spin, but I had a good day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm getting a little revved up. I'm going to pack. I'm going to, just to see that suitcase in my office every day and know that, you got to take your medicines and you got to do what you're being told to do. And so maybe it's more of a visual thing than an actual, obviously it saves you. I don't want to say it saves you time. It's going to take you the same time to pack, whether you do it 2 weeks before. But I think when you pack earlier too, you're less likely to forget something. I tend to believe that. So I'm not saying that's why I did it. I'm just saying I think that helps. So,
well, I guess we can do an experiment, because I'm going to be packing last minute, so we'll see who forgets more.
Yeah, well, I make a list. I don't know how many people do this. I'm old school, man. I actually have it right here. I didn't plan on this. I make a list. See, can't see with the glare. I make a list of everything I need that needs to be going with me, and I cross it out as it's packed, with the goal, obviously, to not forget anything. But you never know. I'm old now, man. I can forget stuff. So I'm sure I'll forget something,
I am excited for cards again. I've gotten the itch in the last 24, 48 hours. I started sending you stuff. You responded with 4 letters.
Yep. NSCC.
Yep.
I bought one, I bought that Hank Aaron rookie card, in May? And I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't spent much money since. What I've done is emptied my accounts, meaning there's money in my eBay accounts from sales. I transferred that to my bank account. Other accounts like that, I've taken the money out. I've talked about money saving tips. I have a dollar envelope that I do now, basically from July to July. There was $600 in that. So that will be going with me. Dividends for the year, I cashed them out. Obviously, I put money away, other card sales, business account. So I've kind of revved up to have money, to buy a couple $1,000 cards. I always say I like to get two cards of significance in my significance. Maybe not Rob Go's significance, but significance to me, which are Hall of Fame graded rookies. So,
wow, I'm gonna read Chris Ramsey's question. We can try our best here. Who are your favorite vendors at the National this year? Before you go, and let us know afterwards at the National. 2-part questionnaire. Do you want to answer? I don't know that it's hard to pick 2, but I'll say as a general comment. Personally, I'm shopping vintage and a lot of vintage for my 57 set this year. Targeting a couple of vintage cards. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going to be looking for guys like Craig and Bill and Stan and a whole bunch of guys that I know from the circuit, and we do, going around. So I don't want to leave out anybody. And the best vendor is the one that has the best card at the best price.
So, I'll answer that like this. I am heavy vintage, so I tend to congregate around those type of dealers more. I'm a dealer myself, so will I look at modern stuff if they're really having a sell-off or something where I maybe can put it in my showcases? Sure, but I tend to spend more time at the vintage cases. I don't have at this point a pipeline with a specific dealer. I've bought in stuff from various different people, and so I will say this: there's always showcases that are just impressive where the store's name or the dealer's name, and so one of those for me that stands out. And I'm not saying everyone else is nothing, but if you see Breakers Row at the National, their inventory is insane. They have one or two whole showcases that are all like Michael Jordan's signature cards or game use / signature cards. They have another two showcases that are like Mike Trout RPAs. They have another showcases.
John, they have a showcase with Mike Trout in it.
Yeah, almost. It's the next best thing. They have other showcases with a bunch of that type of high level stuff. Every time I see it, I'm just like, how does this even happen? And I'm doing math in my head. Like, what is this showcase worth? Like, if I won the Mega Millions or the Mega Billions, and I said, hey, I'm just going to make an offer on this whole case and see if I can, I wouldn't what would it cost me? I don't have it, but hypothetically, and it's just insane. And how does that how does that happen? And just very impressive. You sell. They have the kind of card. I said this on my show. They have the kind of cards where if they sell one of them, that probably makes their show because that's how expensive those cards are. And that's just one card, and they have plenty of those type of cards. So you're going to see cases like that, man. That's the beauty of the National. I've said this. It was everything in. People say, if it's not here, it doesn't exist. I won't go that far. I've actually said that line, so I'll kind of retract a little bit. But unless it's something super rare or there's only 5 copies of, they're probably going to see it at the show. Like the Jackie Robinson Leaf, until I got it, was the grail card for me. There's no shortage of them at the National. You'll see plenty of Jackie Robinson Leafs. Still my grail card. I just own it now. That's the only difference. But you'll see plenty of those. So if it's not there, it's probably super rare. Obviously you have your auction houses set up there with just some crazy cards. Looks like a Mantle 952 tops will be sort of the toast of the National this year, like the 9.5 SGC was last year. It's just a great experience. I really love seeing people who are going for their first time. Because look, I'm excited, and this is my 5th or 6th time, right?
Yep.
But you remember your first time. And speaking of that, shameless plug, I'm going to be doing a Sports Card Nation live on Thursday with a panel, yourself included. And on that panel is Dylan Davis and from Double D Vintage and Adam from Splendid Sports. And it will both be their first time at the National. So it's going to be fun to talk to them kind of early on. So, maybe they won't get the full exposure yet, but early on to kind of like, hey, what do you think of all this so far? That type of deal. And Andy Sunday Friedman also will be, on that panel. So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and for people that don't know, if you've been in years past, the size difference, last year was 400,000 square feet. This year is 600,000 square feet. So you're talking about 50% more floor space and how it's allocated. So I know both of us have talked to Ray Schulte, and he's predicting crowds that, kind of to fill that space up and possibly push all-time records. So I'm hoping that there's a good turnout. I'm hoping that creates the buzz that you've been talking about. Now, for me, I hope it doesn't create too much competition for the cards I'm going for, but that's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a ton of people there. Whether the buzz on social media seems a little bit, what's the word, subdued. I guess that's what I'm saying. Is it seems subdued on social media, but I think once this thing starts, the place is going to be packed, and it's going to be bigger. They opened up 200,000 square feet. What that will look like for people who've been to Chicago National before. How different will that look like? I can't tell you because I haven't seen it yet. We're all going to see that for the first time, on Tuesday or Wednesday. Good question. What would be my Grail?
I'm going to answer this for you. It's the Johnny Unitas when he was unsigned when Pittsburgh let him go before the Colts.
Yeah, no, that isn't it, man. Here's the crazy thing. Their early Steelers were a terrible team, and they didn't have a lot of superstar players. So one of my favorite Steeler cards, quite frankly, is my Mean Joe Green rookie. So, and I own that already. It's not a super high grade. So I guess I'll say this. My Grail card would be, for Steelers, would be an autographed Mean Joe Green graded and authenticated card. And I know to some, they're like, that's it? And I'm like, yeah. But those early Steeler teams were some of the worst teams in football history, and they were not loaded with superstars. So there's.
Would you take the Mean Joe Green towel from the commercial if you won the Mega Millions? Would that be up there for you on like sports memorabilia?
Yeah, I would love. I mean, the one he throws to the
yeah. I don't even know if it's available, but if that were available, I got to think for you that's real high on the list of sports.
Oh yeah, I mean that commercial. Frankly, is one of the reasons I'm a Steeler fan. So the fact, I look like that kid at that time that commercial came out, same age as that kid when that commercial came out. It's the number one commercial of all time, or it was at one point. I don't know if it still is ranked by an advertising agency that ranks all time commercials. So yeah, the significance of that towel would be. I'm not, I don't know where it is or who owns it, or
Are you sure? Question. Are you sure it was better than Scoop? There it is.
Yes, for me, for sure.
Okay.
I like that one too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean that I'm assuming maybe the kid from the commercial who's not a kid anymore is my age.
Right.
That was one of the perks of that gig is he got to keep that Mean Joe towel, and I'm sure Mean Joe signed it.
I hope he's not sitting in the back of a bar somewhere telling this story every night.
Yeah.
You know that commercial? I'm the kid.
Well, I think I saw an interview with him, Danny, and he's not an actor or anything like full time, but I think he's doing all right.
Okay, good. All right, so getting back to the National, we're going to peel back the onion for people. You're flying in when?
Wednesday morning.
And what you want to go over kind of the itinerary for the week for?
Well, Thursday we're doing a Sports Card Nation live on the Mike Burkus main stage. That will be 11 a.m. Chicago time. On Saturday we'll be doing Hobby Hotline live from the Mike Burkus main stage. That also will be 11 a.m. Chicago time. Lots of dinners, lots of get-togethers, lots of on the floor interviews that I've started scheduling. Like where I'm fully I'm really booked. I'm getting to I had him on the show, the artist Dick Perez and the director Mark Evans. I'm going to re-interview them at the REA booth, kind of a follow-up as that movie was fully funded, and talk about that. Talk about they're going to be filming some of scenes from the movie at this National. Maybe I'll get to be part of that. I don't know. I'm not going to assume. I know it was mentioned. So there's that, and looking forward to meeting as many people as I can and talking about the greatest hobby in the world that we're all part of, and hanging out with you, and who knows who will run into. That's the fun thing too. The national, you can plan stuff, put it in your phone. Some of the best moments will be ones that you don't necessarily plan for as well. Some of the spontaneous.
Can I say I hope that's true Wednesday night?
Yeah. But this is your story. So, Andy does Hobby News Daily, which I'm a part of, and have helped out with that. And so we're having a Hobby Hotline dinner. Danny's doing a Hobby News Daily dinner, and had it all set, or so we thought. And I'll let you kind of tell the story from there.
Well, I'm going to try to keep this a family show because it gets me all fired up. But weeks ago, or probably a couple months ago, made reservations at restaurant number 1. Confirmed, good, set out the invites, good to go. Get a call that a company from the show has bought out the restaurant for the night, and they are going to cancel our reservation with no recourse. So we were left without a restaurant. All right. Found the second restaurant. Seemed pretty excited by it. Everybody seemed pretty good. So we switched to restaurant number 2, confirmed the reservation, told them what happened at the first restaurant, was assured we had no problem, good to go. Last week, I get a call canceling the reservation. Somebody bought out the whole restaurant for that night also. So I go and I pivot again, go to restaurant number 3, and I get the reservation. I'm very excited by it. And I call them the next day just to double and triple check. And lo and behold, they tell me they're going to cancel the reservation because somebody has bought out the whole restaurant. So we now do have plans finally at a fantastic steakhouse, and looking forward to going to a great Hobby News Daily dinner. But to the 3 restaurants who took reservations and then canceled them, boo on you is the nicest thing I can think of. And to the companies who rented out the restaurants, I'm coming in anyway. I had a reservation. I'm still sitting at my table. I'll see you Wednesday.
And without saying what the restaurant is, the Hobby Hotline dinner and the Hobby News Daily dinner, the restaurant is one and the same. It's just on two different nights. So I'll have to pick 2 different things for each.
It's a rough job. Somebody's got to do it. But I could not believe I had 3 reservations canceled on me. So way to go, Rosemont Restaurants.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think there should be a pet. Like, you should get something when it happens, whether it's $50 or a gift card for $100 for a future visit. Like, there shouldn't be no repercussions for that. I don't. You're planning on double-digit people, and now it's a big inconvenience, and then you got to scramble. There should be a penalty that a restaurant has to pay when that happens.
Yeah, like you said, we weren't a small party either. We're well over a dozen people, and it was confirmed and double confirmed, and to cancel with less than a week or two's notice on something like this was kind of crappy.
Yeah, it is for sure. And that's what I mean. You're going to rent out a whole restaurant. Do it sooner than that too.
Yeah. Well, and actually, here's the thing: if you're going to a party and they have not yet announced where the dinner is, they may be one of the companies that took my spot. So let me know.
There you go. You're on a mission.
Yeah, I've become like Columbo, finding out who took my reservations.
Yeah,
you want to read Chris Ramsey's?
Yeah. Do you expect? I think it's going to be close, Chris. I don't want to say I expect. I don't want to say I expect because it's a different hobby. Like the National is going to be highly attended. I'm not saying it's going to be a buzzkill or the hobby's trending downward. But it is a different hobby than the last time the National was in Chicago, which was 2 years ago. So I expect it to be very, very busy. Would I be shocked if it was a record-breaking crowd? No, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, this hobby is very strong, regardless of what market prices tell you. Market prices tell you prices of cards. It doesn't tell you how many people are buying cards. We always have to remember that. There's plenty of people in this hobby. There's going to be plenty of people in the Donald Stevens Convention Center all week, not just Saturday and not just Friday, but all week. So I wouldn't be shocked. I think, might it not set the record, but just be a very busy show. But I'd probably lean that way. But time will obviously tell.
Should I talk about the cards on my wish list?
Sure.
Or is that bad strategy?
Well, maybe I steal them.
Right. Don't listen to this section. This is for everybody else. I am without a doubt hoping to come home with a combination of the 57 Brooks rookie, the 57 Unitas rookie, and not all of these. This is just the list. 33 Gaudy Moberg, which is one of my forever dream cards I've bought and sold 10 times. The 54 K-Line rookie, he is from Baltimore, if you're not familiar with that. And it's been a while, but if I can find the Cal Ripken TCMA Rochester again, I just turned one down like a week ago, and I'm kicking myself. So if I find one in good grade, I might pick that one up again.
Yeah, for me, excuse me, I'm all over the place. I don't have, like last year was the kind of the Koufax. It was going to be the Aaron rookie, which I picked off, like I said, in May. So that came off the top of the list. So I have just kind of like 8 to 10 cards. I'm not going to get all of these guys. I probably won't even mention 8 to 10. Clemente rookie's on my list still. K-Line rookie as well. Banks rookie. Just to show you how eclectic my list can be. A Connor McDavid Young Guns rookie makes that top 10. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Tom Seaver rookie, which between him and Clemente, that's probably the number ones on the one line for me. Frank Robinson rookie, which is a card I think is well undervalued. It might not be at the top of my list, and there's going to be plenty of those. So Danny doesn't, Danny already has one anyway.
Don't make me feel bad. It's a very special card. Very, very special.
That's just a real undervalued card. Look at that gentleman's stats and tell me why that card, is kind of where it's at. But so that's, I don't know. I mentioned probably 6 to 8 cards there. I'm not going to get all of those. If I get 2 or 3 of those, that would be a successful show. Oh, obviously buy other stuff of lesser significance as well. And, so it's looking forward to all that stuff. The cards, the people, the events, the dinner, especially for the dinners, because if you listen to my shows, I kind of skip lunch with like just beef jerky and kind of granola bars. And so,
which by the way, I'd like to clarify that John speaks for himself and not for both of us on this topic.
Yeah. So when dinner rolls around, I'm itching to go and trying to make up for a skip lunch.
Are the dried mangoes packed?
They're not packed yet, but they're actually right here. So this will be one of the unofficial snacks of lunch for Sports Card Nation.
Hashtag NSCC 23.
Yep. And I'll probably I'll have to post something on social media here in the next few days with that. But so I think that's going to replace the beef jerky. So
we might have to talk about that off air.
Yeah, I like dried mangoes. I like dried mangoes, and I cannot lie. That's all I'm going to say. So, it's gonna. I skip lunch. I want to keep moving. I'm with you there and us rooming together. Might we sneak out and have a small lunch, at least for me, potentially? But I don't want to eat a big lunch and then go back on the show floor, man, and just want to take a nap and No.
It's all about just getting off your feet for a minute and then powering through the afternoon.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So realistically, on my list, I probably should have mentioned, and I'm open for suggestions. In fact, I'd love people to put in the comments, whether you're watching live or when this is released, is what table has the best vintage commons to go at fair prices? That's really what I'm looking for. I'm set building, and I want to know who's got the best vintage commons to look for. And Chris Ramsey wants to know, John, how about Steelers Kenny Pickett cards? Who is the NFL quarterback card this year for you? It's Lamar Jackson, right?
Here people are going to think I'm nuts. I'll see if Ruben's still here. Like, I don't think Kenny Pickett's terrible, but I don't know if he's what I hope he's the guy many Steeler fans think he is. I will tell you this, in my bulk subbing for SGC, I've never seen so many Pickett RPAs in the last 2 months. I kid you not. Easily double digits in 20s and 30s in Pickett RPAs just in my bulk subs that I've been doing. So, quarterback this year, man, it's hard to say. CJ Stroud has the tools, but playing quarterback in the NFL is tough, and it's easier to buy the ones that have done it than to speculate on the ones that haven't.
But you took the words right out of my mouth. I would say don't overthink it. If you're buying quarterbacks, buy Lamar, buy Mahomes when they're not overvalued and people are looking elsewhere, and the young rookies are overpriced. And I still think Trevor Lawrence is a good buy.
Trevor Lawrence, I'm glad you mentioned Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people jumped off the Trevor Lawrence boat that Urban Meyer year, where he was terrible. Not arguing, the stats don't lie, but a lot of that was Urban Meyer and that whole dumpster fire he created. You saw Peterson come in there, clean things up.
1 year.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is a legit elite quarterback, and I think you're going to start to see that the next couple years. And so if you're going to buy Trevor Lawrence stuff, now's the time, because that window is going to get tighter. And I can tell you this, I have some Trevor Lawrence stuff that has not made it out to my showcases at any of the shows I set up. There's a reason for that, quite frankly, because I'm not selling them now. Why would I? Why would I off that Urban Meyer year? Like, if especially when you believe that he's better than that, and that Urban Meyer was one of the reasons for his bad year. Maybe not 100% the reason, but a good portion of that. And so I think we saw that with Doug Peterson coming in and cleaning things up. And like Danny just said, that's the first year. Now they're going to be working together again. I see more improvement, and I see an NFL quarterback starting to emerge from the ashes of an Urban Meyer dumpster fire. An Urban Meyer dumpster fire. There you go.
I put this one up for you. Ruben says, as long as Matt Canada is the Steelers offensive coordinator, Pickett won't put up big numbers. John, I know you're the president of the Matt Canada fan club. On behalf of the Canada family, what do you say to that?
I am waving that flag, Ruben. How Matt Canada is still employed. I've said this. He's got to have pictures of Mike Tomlin with a woman that's not Mike Tomlin's wife. How he still has a job. 2 years of being near the bottom of every offensive ranking category. Like, offensive coordinators were fired last year that were way better than Matt Canada. And so I don't get it. I don't know why. It's frustrating. And, I'm not going to lie. I root for people. I don't like to root for the demise of people, but I'm not going to lie. When the day comes where Matt Canada is no longer the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, there will be a party at my house. And you know what? Matt Canada is invited, because at that point I won't have any dislike for him anymore, because he's no longer hurting my team. So come to your firing party, Matt Canada, when that does happen.
Like Patty, I root for demises and my dreams always come true.
All right. Honesty is the best policy. That one, I agree on that line.
That's hysterical. So that gets, you and I were talking about who we're looking to buy. We didn't really mention any modern outside of Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I don't have like where I have like a vintage hit list. I might have players I'm looking for. Listen, here's how I approach modern, right? We all know Shohei's doing stuff that we've never seen before, starting to build a Hall of Fame resume early in his career. If I run into an interesting Shohei that I think's fair price and has some ceiling, that'll be something I would buy. Ellie De La Cruz, I don't have a lot of his stuff. He's not necessarily on a target list, but if I'm looking at a modern case and something strikes my fancy and it's fairly priced, maybe I'd buy something like that. So I don't have a hit list like I do in the sense of vintage, but will I buy something on modern, ultra modern? Sure. If the price is right and it hits me right, sure. But I don't have specific cards.
See, I will say that I will look for Orioles and Ravens that I can get at slightly better prices, hopefully from a dealer not in the Baltimore area. No, I'm not talking about 50% off or anything like that, but sometimes you can find stuff just a hair cheaper, a little bit more negotiating room because they know the Nationals their best chance to sell it as opposed to their home store. So I will certainly be looking for Orioles prospects heavily as I always do.
I like Ruben's comment. Go just backtrack a little bit. He will bring a jet sweep as a gift to the party. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he brings a taco dip and some Tostitos too. He can keep his jet sweep as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't, with modern, it's just whatever. I like to buy autographs of modern players where they're like decently priced and kind of get in early on and just kind of maybe put them away. I did that a lot with Luis Robert when he got hurt and everyone was jumping off the ship. I was jumping on the ship. That's starting to look like a good decision at the moment. So those sort of type of deals. I mean, Shohei, no one's being fooled by Shohei as far as like getting a steal in a deal. Everyone knows.
He's a hitter and a pitcher, right?
I heard that.
Yeah,
he's pretty good at both. I have to check some film out.
Yeah,
but but if you're looking through maybe a discount box and someone put a Shohei in there when he got hurt, remember when he got hurt and everyone was like, oh, this is who he is.
Yep.
And they never went through that box or maybe haven't done a show in a while. And you find stuff like that happens. Not always all the time, but
a lot of guys. You might find that with Wander Franco, Luis Robert. There's a lot of guys that are having a little bit of a comeback that last year may have been in a cheaper box. So that's a good call.
Yeah. Will he get traded? If I'm the Angels, you got to trade him, man. You got to get some bang for your buck. If you're Shohei, you don't want to stay there. I think Mike Trout, we talked about this a couple of weeks back. Mike Trout, I think, is regretting that 10-year deal he signed 3 or 4 years ago now. Heck, the Angels might even be regretting it with some of his injuries of recent. And so if I'm the Angels and you can get a king's ransom for Ohtani, a bunch of young prospects, you got to really consider it. If the Mets were ever to pull the trigger and somehow acquire him, that's a dream scenario for me. I'm not a huge jersey guy, but I guarantee you there'll be an Ohtani jersey in 2 or 3X Mets in this house, guaranteed. He's just an incredible player. And if he goes to my favorite baseball team, I'm going to own that jersey. And Cohen's got the money. If they makes that trade, he's going to lock him up with probably the biggest baseball salary in the history of the game and have him here for as long as he can. And so yeah, I mean, that would be a dream, a current dream come true, Ohtani as a Met. And to do it hitting and pitching, something they need both of. I mean, and I like their minor league system and Beatty and Alvarez and Mauricio and Vientos.
I was about to say, how many of those guys are you ready to give up?
Yeah. Maybe a couple, and then some less like single A guy prospects too. I'd give up 4 prospects to get him. Especially if I knew
with no contract extension.
Well, no, that would be part of the deal.
Okay. Yeah.
So if they could like sign and trade type of deal, but they had to give up some. Let's do it. Let's get this guy. He's just that kind of player, man.
Yeah, I don't think they do that as much anymore. I remember when we were growing up, they used to give a 24, 48-hour window to try to work out the deal, and you don't see those anymore. The guys are going to free agency either way, and it doesn't matter. Hodges, Zatani as a Met would be huge with a contract extension. Well, that's.
I'm telling you, man, I would be on cloud 9 as a Met fan. Like, I don't want to mortgage the whole future, but you're gonna have to give up stuff where it hurts. It's gonna hurt to get him, but you're getting him. So you gotta hurt a little bit to get a player of that ilk, and I get that, and I'm willing to do it. I think Cohen, and that would be, imagine Ohtani in New York City. I mean, just
he's gonna be a Dodger.
Probably, I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm keeping it real. I get it.
I was watching.
If that was to happen, that would be huge.
I waited 2 minutes and 10 seconds until I burst your bubble on the Mets there. I was watching just.
Well, I did hear. Listen, I'm not going to lie about it because I want him. I'm an honest guy. I did hear that there's, he kind of wants to stay on the West Coast. But man, he'd be the mayor of New York, man.
He'd be the mayor of any city he goes to.
True. But being the mayor of New York is kind of what a lot of mayors would like to be, rather than, Dubuque, Iowa, or Anaheim, California.
Well,
so
that's why I think he ends up in LA. That's my personal. They've got the money. They've got a contract.
I hope you're wrong, but I guess we'll see. But if I'm the Angels, I know it hurts, and I know you don't want to be the GM that traded Ohtani. But if I'm the GM of the Angels, I'm either negotiating a long-term contract to keep him there, or I'm trading him, because you got to get something. You can't let him walk away and get nothing in return. He's too big of a star to just get nothing back for your efforts to go out and get him, scout him, sign him, to just let him go play for someone else.
Is that the worst thing that could happen to the Angels? Is that they get into borderline wild card contention and have to hold on to them? They're not.
Listen, let's be real.
Not division, but they could play their way into wild card contention.
I don't see it. We're Trout out now for a while. Yeah. I just don't see it. As great as Ohtani is, he's carrying them almost by himself. Like, I don't see it. It sucks. If you're an Angel fan, I get it. It stinks. You don't want to lose your guy. But if you're the Angels GM, who I honestly don't know his name, I'm sorry. But if you're him, two things you don't want, right? You don't want to trade him for nothing, and you don't want him walking away for nothing. So if you can get a king's ransom, if you can sign him long term, or you can get a king's ransom in the trade, one of those two things have to happen. The worst thing you could do is let him just go to the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Giants as a free agent. And
this is one of the reasons the Angels have had a hard time making the playoffs. Trout's played only 150 or more games only 4 times in his career.
And I love Mike Trout. He's a Hall of Famer. But
that is a reality.
You know what? You've heard the expression before, right? What's the best ability?
Posting.
No, availability.
Well, that's
right?
Posting. Yeah,
you got to be on the field. You got to be on the field. You're not helping anyone. When you're not playing. And for as great a player as he is, when he is on the field, it's starting to be almost like an every year thing. Like, it's almost like a meme. Like, when's the Trout injury happening? You could probably take DraftKings bets on it. First 50 games, second 50 games, third 50 games. What quarter of the season is he going to get hurt in? And I know that sounds terrible. He's not trying to get hurt. I'm not,
But it is almost. It's almost every major superstar. I mean, I mean, Trout.
It's why, listen, Aaron Judge is a great player, but it's why I don't buy Aaron Judge cards.
That's the name I was just going to bring up is Judge and Stanton. There, you had two guys.
What do we know historically? We did this on the Players to Avoid show that we did some weeks back. Statistics show those big-bodied guys start to break down a lot earlier. And we've seen that now a little bit with Judge. Maybe not on the same terms as Trout, but Trout's played longer. But Judge is kind of looking like the guy that's going to miss 20, 30 games a year with something, a toe, a calf, a shoulder.
At least.
And so I'm not buying, like, again, when he plays, he's a superstar. But, I like a superstar that plays the whole year or pretty close to it.
All right. I think we got to bring up another topic this week, and I did not prepare you at all, so I'm just going to bring it up anyway. Hall of Fame inductions: Scott Rowland, Fred McGriff. The hobby reaction. I mean, is this the biggest yawn induction? Am I just missing the love here with those guys?
Well, it's funny, man. I'm an hour and 10 minutes from the Hall of Fame here. I just heard a commercial the other day hyping up the induction on the radio, a radio commercial for Rowland and McGriff. And it seemed, and they run those every year, obviously, with each year's induction. And it seemed like the guy doing the vocals for it was really pouring it on more thick than in some other years, Scott Rowland had some good, very good numbers, but I watched Scott Rowland play through most of his career, and at no point did I really say, I don't know about you, man, this guy's a lock for the Hall of Fame, right? I never really struck me like that. And Fred McGriff is one of those guys, right? He's right on that line.
Yep.
You can make a case.
You're either a big hole guy or a small hole guy.
Yeah, you can make a case for him and against him. The ones that make the case for him will say, the numbers are there. The ones that will make the case against him will say the numbers are there, but he was an accumulator. He just played so long, he accumulated this, and he's not as good as the numbers indicate. And so, a heck of a nice guy by all accounts. Actually, both of them are. But again, this is not Hall of Nice Guys. Otherwise, Ty Cobb wouldn't be in there along with a few other guys. It's Hall of Fame, right? And, I'm not saying they're both, I can make an argument there's lesser players that are already in before them. But Scott Rowland never struck me as like, this guy's a shoo-in for the Hall. Watching Adrian Beltre play, I'm like, this guy's on a Hall of Fame track. I use that because it's the same position. So, is it a great year induction-wise? No, I'm sure the crowds will be smaller than normal with all due respect to these two gentlemen on their induction day. But I think the buzz for these two guys are going to be probably one of the lowest attended. Matter of fact, I'm hearing more commercials because I think they know that and they're trying to get people to Cooperstown.
Well, I'm going to give you the number one reason why Fred McGriff deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But first, I want to play from our friends at SGC.
Experience, quality, consistency, and the quickest turnaround times in the grading industry? We are proud to partner with SGC Grading. Check them out at www.gosgc.com.
So you and I have talked about Fred McGriff, but what we have not talked about is the Tom Amansky Fred McGriff videos on baseball drills that were put out 30 years ago. And that alone puts Fred McGriff into the Hall of Fame. Nobody has ever done a set of mail order videos on baseball drills like Fred McGriff did. And so I want to give him props on that because that might be my favorite set of videos and commercials of all time.
And I remember those, and he was a great. Like, I think when I look at McGriff, they're obviously play different positions defensively. McGriff feels more of like a Hall of Famer than Scott Rowland to me. I'm only speaking obviously for myself. So, I mean, I don't disagree. I'm sure there is, but would hard to say. Most guys I see get elected, I didn't think they were locks when they were playing. Yeah, but there are other guys too that like unless they literally stop playing today, they're getting in the Hall of Fame.
Well, so this is where I get into the small hall versus big hall, theory. I don't think that Ken Griffey Jr. and Harold Baines had equal level careers or talent. But I don't want to make that a knock on Harold Baines. Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame. But
I thought you scared me right there, man. I thought you were going to try to tell me like Ken Griffey Jr. shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
No. What I'm saying is I think Ken Griffey Jr. mentally we all put into this kind of the inner room. It's the Babe Ruth room, the Willie Mays room, the Jackie Robinson room. We kind of all in our heads think of that as like that, like a little bit more. And then we hear Scott Rowland and we hear Fred McGriff, and they're in the bigger room.
It's the big boy. It's the adult table and then the kids table type of mentality.
I mean, don't you think that's how we kind of look at the Hall of Fame?
I don't personally, but I think there's that vibe in general. I think what happens too, Danny, is when those players that get in that people really highly debate, it lowers the bar. I think that's where the table argument comes in. The bar gets lowered because someone can say, well, Baines is in, Nellie Fox, Phil Rizzuto, Phil Rizzuto, one of the greatest people, on the planet. But you can make an argument, had he not been a Yankee, he probably wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame in the ring. So there's so many different criteria that can get somebody in. But what happens is when some of those players get in, people will use their stat line to tell you why, well, if he's in, he should be in. So, it's tough. And, if you're in the Hall, to me, if you're not, you're in the Hall. Is there guys that I think are in the Hall that probably shouldn't be? For sure. No doubt. How many? Who are they? We could do a 3-hour show. We're not going to do that, obviously, tonight. But yeah, there's people in the Hall that, in my mind, they're Hall of very good. They're not great players.
Are you a believer in the Hall of Fame bump that all the Hall of Famer prices are going to see a little spike for the next week or so?
Yeah, that's how the hobby works. You know that, man.
It's just coinciding with the National. This is the.
I hate to say it, right? When the cards get bumps, right? A big record, a record gets broken. A Hall of Fame induction. God forbid someone passes away. Those sort of things. It just comes. It comes with the territory. It's not new. It's not a new thing. It's been like that. It was like that when the Beckett Price guides would come out with the triangles telling you your stuff's went up, right? So
those were important triangles.
I love those triangles.
Yeah. Chris Ramsey, real quick, says, hope you feel better for the National, and says,
I'm getting there.
Much appreciated for the show again. Chris, no, we appreciate you always checking in like everybody else on the live shows here.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there, Chris. I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot to me. And unlike Trout, I'm going to play hurt regardless.
John makes over 150 card shows a year.
No, I don't. There's no way I could do that if I
only Ryan Nolan.
Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it, and I don't want to.
Yeah,
I love my card shows. I'm good with my 6 that I do a year. I'm good with visiting 3 or 4 more as a customer, and I'm good. I'm too old to do what Ryan Nolan does.
All right. So as we wrap it up here, final words. What's on your mind as you get in your last couple of days? Last minute prep, everything done, just staying in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, I'm
getting better.
I'm just trying to take my meds, get better. It's silly, man. I have softball on Thursday night, and yesterday is my last game before the National. I'm going to miss next week's Thursday game, and I'm playing third base, and I'm like, don't get hurt today. Don't break a bone, stuff I would normally not think, because I'll dive, I'll, do all, I play hard. But Thursday was kind of yesterday was kind of weird because I'm like, don't do nothing crazy tonight. Stay healthy. Don't break a bone, and because you got a trip to make here in literally 6 days. And so that's kind of my mindset, right? Get a little bit better each day, and be as healthy, as close to 100%, because you want to have fun, man. It's the week where, I've said this a million times. It's the week we circle every year. To everyone else, this is not lip service. We couldn't do the stuff we do with these content creation without people who watch us. You don't have to watch us or listen to us or download. There's a lot of other things you can do. There's a lot of other shows you could congregate to. And so I'm a very appreciative of those folks. I'm a very appreciative of everybody in the hobby. I look at this as we're all in the same fraternity. It's all one big college of sports cards. And so I look forward to the national and just meeting as many of those folks as possible, having as many of those conversations, and doing everything else that comes with it. It's the fastest 5 days of my year. I always say that too. It just seems to go quick, and then you start counting down to the next national. One quick thing, Danny, not to make the show longer than it has to be. Excuse me as I cough. 2026 Nationals down to 3 cities. I don't know if you saw that.
I did, and they're voting on Thursday.
Yeah, Atlantic City is pretend. I don't think it wins, but it's on the candidate list, along with Cleveland, which where it'll be next year, 2024, and a new city. Did you see the new city on the list?
I thought this was a very interesting choice because I actually used to live there.
Yep, Atlanta. And I'm, so I asked myself, if you voted, John, or you had a vote that counted, where would you go with your vote here? Now, I could be a homer and say Atlantic City because it's drivable. I could be a homer in a way and say Cleveland because it's drivable too. But I'm like, you know what? I want to see a different city. I want it to be in a different venue. Bring it to Atlanta. You got the Braves there. Listen, I know I'm a Mets fan. Maybe I'll be lucky and the Mets will be in town in where the Braves play. It has been there before, as Stooks pointed out. And Atlanta's a great, some will argue it's not a great sports town, but listen, it has a rich sports history, and so I think it's time for a different, we've got sort of the Cleveland, Atlantic City, Chicago rotation. Let's get a fourth candidate on the board, back on the board. I mean, they've had it before, but let's get some other cities involved. I'd love to see go to Seattle someday.
How about Baltimore?
Baltimore, I agree. Let's get some other venues involved in this great show, right? And maybe this live, like Fanatics getting into this show deal, will push the national to get it to different locales. Maybe competition sometimes brings out the best in you, and so maybe this news that Fanatics is going to start doing shows and live events will push the new regime, which takes over next year, by the way, for the national, to start to explore some old venues, but make them new again. Baltimore, Atlanta, and then maybe a completely new one with like a Seattle or something like that.
And before we head out, Stu says anything in Indianapolis or Nashville. I think we're talking middle of the country, all these cities. I think is what John's talking about, is just opening it up to some different options that we haven't seen. So, anything in the middle, logistically.
I'm a fairness guy. Like, let's put it in every part of the country.
You're a fairness guy as long as the Mets might be in town.
Well, listen, I can't control that. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go to the national. I just, you wishful think, right? That would be like just a bone. It's like the cherry on top of the ice cream. The national is going to be the ice cream no matter where it is for me. The Mets being in town is just the cherry on the top of that ice cream. So.
Oh, before we get into Dippin' Dots, anything else you want to add for notes before we hit Chicago?
Nope. I hope to see many of you. Thanks, everybody. And if you're going to the national, have fun, right? That's what we're all going to do.
I don't say it often, but a year ago at the National, my wife was coming out of chemo and was just making it there. A year later, it's been a long year, but she's on a full road to recovery. So for me, this is truly marking a blessing in my life, and I'm just excited and looking forward to having a lot of fun. So looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Please say hi. We love talking to people. If you have something nice to say, if you don't have something nice to say, go tell somebody else. John, I'll see you.
See you.